Welcome to the Amato Report. Are you tired of socialism? Are you fearful that it's spreading across America? But more specifically, if you live in California, as I do, are you concerned about the spread of socialism in California? If you live in California, as I do, are you feeling the effects, the lifestyle of huge tax rates in the state of California? Look, the midterm election is coming up. Voter turnout tends to be lower during the midterms. The average everyday American, if you will, tends to not show up. The highly motivated person involved in politics tends to get out and vote. You should be a highly motivated individual if you have common sense, if you're not a far left-wing extremist, if you're in the middle, left to center, center, right to center, on the right. You should be motivated to get out and vote, particularly with what Steve Hilton has recently unveiled. Steve Hilton, the Republican candidate for governor here in California, of course, has unveiled a plan to, one, stop the spread of socialism in the state of California. How great does that sound? Number two, he has recently unveiled a plan to reshape California, and listen to this, deliver huge tax cuts. That's a reason to get out and vote during the midterms, is it not? All right, you got me kind of excited there. By the way, six media outlets have reached out to Steve Hilton and his opponent, Democrat candidate Javier Becerra. Steve has accepted all six invites. Becerra, goose egg, zero. He's hiding because he figures it's a blue state. There'll be a low turnout, and he'll just go win the election. Joining me at this time, while traveling on the road from his car, he's joining me via phone, is the man himself, Steve Hilton. Steve, good to have you with us.
Wonderful to be with you, Rick. Thank you so much. We're rushing around the state, fighting very hard in our campaign truck. So it's not always easy to find a time to do an interview, but I'm very happy that we could at least join on the phone today. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're happy you could join us, phone, video, I don't care. All right, Steve. This is huge, in my opinion. It's huge. What you unveiled recently, plans to stop the spread of socialism in California, reshape California, and deliver not small, not moderate, not check off the box, but huge tax cuts.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start where you will. Tell us about those plans you unveiled, please.
Well, let's start with the tax cuts, and here's how I see it. First of all, we got to remember that we pay the highest taxes in the country, highest state income tax rates, highest state sales tax, gas tax, the highest in the country. They are absolutely gouging us. Those are just the direct taxes. You got all these hidden stealth taxes like impact fees on housing. You've got the the $800 a year small business tax you've got to pay just for existing, endless fees and permits, and you've got all these things they gouge you with. Vehicle registration, the highest in the country, and so on. And so my immediate simple point is this. The best way to help people with the cost of living, we have the highest cost of living in the country because of all these other things, gas prices, electric bills, insurance, you name it, water, housing costs, all of that, the most expensive in America. So the best way that we can deal with that is to put more money in your pocket. What's the quickest and most direct way to get more money in your pocket? It's actually for the government to take less out. That's the simplest, quickest way. There's a whole bunch of serious long-term policy reforms that we need to make to bring down the cost of gas and electric and housing and so on. Those things will take time. Some are quicker than others. I think I can make a difference on the gas price pretty quickly. Others, like housing, it's just going to take a bit longer. But most simple and most direct is to just take less money out of your paycheck. And that means cutting taxes. And so now we get to the tax plan. and it starts with a working class tax cut. Your first 150 grand tax free. That will particularly help everyone who's working so hard and feels they're just not able to get ahead. I know in many states that threshold of 150,000 may seem like a high salary.
Right.
In California,
Yeah.
given how expensive everything is, that is not at all a high salary.
Yep.
In fact, in many counties in California, the official government level for being low income is now $100,000. So putting that threshold at 150 is not at all. It's the least we can do, I think, for working people in California. So that's the first part, pro-worker, working class tax cut. Second part, we've got to get growth back. We've got to get businesses back. They're leaving California. That's why we have the highest unemployment rate of all 50 states.
Wow.
So it's insane, isn't it? And so another really important thing, we are going to have a pro-growth tax cut, and that is above 150 grand, 8% flat tax. That will massively incentivize businesses and entrepreneurs to be in California. So you take all that together, it is a absolutely revolutionary reduction in the size and intrusiveness and cost of the government. And the final point I will say to you is people say, well, how are you going to pay for that?
Yeah.
What are you going to cut to pay for it? I'll tell you what I'm going to cut, the waste and bloat in our government. And we announced that component of it yesterday in Sacramento. We're calling it Operation Zero Waste. And here's how it works. We've calculated that the total cost of the working class tax cut, your first 150 grand tax free, is about $25 billion. And the cost of the other part is about the same. So we need to find about $50 billion in savings in total to pay for the whole thing. Yesterday, we started off on that path. We're still working very much going through the budget, finding things that we need to cut. But here's what we've got so far. Number one, stop high-speed rail. That will happen on day one. That's about $4 billion. Number two, no more free healthcare for illegal immigrants. That's another $8 billion, actually nearly $9 billion. Number three, freeze stop and reduce the headcount in our state bureaucracy. When Gavin Newsom came to office, there were about 215,000 state bureaucrats. Now it's over 255,000.
Wow.
We're proposing a 10% headcount reduction in bureaucrats. That's about $2 billion there. And then we're proposing also a 5% efficiency saving across all government departments. Everyone in the private sector knows that you're regularly asked to find efficiencies and cut back your costs. That never happens in government. We're asking for a modest 5% efficiency saving. We could probably go a lot further than that, but for the sake of this, we're just taking 5%. That is another $18 billion. On top of that, we're going to shut down the non-profit ripoff, where you've got all these non-profits getting taxpayer money. We're going to shut down the vanity projects and the Gavin Newsom's first partners fund and portraits for governors. And we're going to shut down the political activity funded by taxpayers, like all these non-profits funded by you and me and everyone listening and watching, doing ballot harvesting and voter registration. So some of these things we don't have the exact numbers on. The ones that we do have the exact numbers on, we already have savings of $38 billion. So we can easily pay for the working class tax cut with that, and we're well on the way to paying for the whole thing.
Wow. Remarkable. Remarkable. I love what I'm hearing, Steve. This is, I'm going to come back to the phrase common sense. You've taken common sense and you've applied specifics to the phrase common sense. This is big news. Now, unless I've missed something, which is always possible, it feels like the California media is not really getting your message out there. I mean, that is huge news. But outside the California Post, am I wrong on this? Are you fighting the media at all in terms of getting it?
See it like that. I think that we actually have a pretty good relationship with the media. I think that it's a big state, and so you'll see me a lot on local TV.
Yeah.
But if you don't live in that area, you won't see me. But I'm on the road the whole time, and just this week I did Bay Area, the end of last week, San Diego, LA often. So we're just moving around, doing, local media is very receptive. I think that we've got a good relationship there, and we're really, we're just at the beginning of this process. I know in many ways there's not that much time in terms of the election being around just over 80 days away. But on the other hand, people don't really start paying attention till after the summer, till Labor Day. And so I think we've got plenty of time, and we've got a lot of really great plans. And I'm excited about what the next couple of months will bring.
All right, that's good news. I have to confess, I tend to not watch the local media so much, so that's wasn't on my radar, and I totally agree. The politics gets on people's radar after the summer, typically speaking, after Labor Day. You're right. So that's good news. Stopping the spread of socialism in California.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, it actually starts with the what we've just been talking about, because what is socialism in the end? It's massively bloated, arrogant, authoritarian, overmighty government that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and has more and more of a role in your life, telling you how to live your life, how to raise your family, how to run your business, how to do everything, what kind of card. And this is what we've got in California. So I know that people are talking about what's happening with Al Sayed in Michigan and Mandani in New York and all this. And you've got Nithya Raman from that group here in California, of course, running for mayor of LA. But it's not just that. That's the extreme end of it. And people are describing that as communism. And I think that's a fair statement when you look at some of the things they're saying. But socialism, which is still very far left, but not quite as extreme far left, we've been living with that in California.
I agree.
This is it when you've got the government basically trying to take over whole industries like they did with the fast food industry, when you've got the government taking so much of our money, bossing us around from morning till night, what car to drive, how to cook our food, no more gas stoves, this is how you're going to live, no more single family homes, just insane levels of authoritarian micromanagement, bossing everybody around from morning till night. That's what socialism is. And so I think that we've already got it here in California, and we need to fight back against it. Now, partly it's the size of government with the spending and the taxes, but also it's the intrusiveness. It's all these regulations that come through the bureaucracy. And so we've got a huge plan to cut back the bloat in our government bureaucracy, all these agencies and so on. And so people are going to see that what really is the argument here, I think, is that I understand why people may be reaching for these far left solutions, because they're very frustrated with the way things are. Everything's so expensive. It's impossible to get a house, to own a home if you're a young person. That dream is out of reach. The money coming in isn't paying for what's going out. It's really rough, and that's been like that for years. And people want some kind of relief from all of that. Now, across the country, you've been seeing people buying the left-wing answer, but of course that just makes it worse, because if you're starting to give out free this, that, and the other, who's paying for that? The taxpayer. And of course the money that taxes go up, that means it's even less attractive to business. That means you get fewer jobs being created. And so the way I put it in a speech on Monday in San Francisco is, look, you've got people now, especially educated younger elites, who are really buying this message of how socialism and communism can help. But actually, the places where it's been tried the most, which is really California, we've got the highest youth unemployment in the country, apart from Delaware. So the record is a disaster.
Oh, wow.
So we got to make that argument. What's the point?
And let me ask you this, Steve. As I said at the outset, this is an argument that you're making of common sense. With that being said, have you got any feel or handle on, if you will, not that I expect you to, but moderate Democrats, those are maybe, center, left of center, slightly. Are you getting any?
Very much. We've got a lot of, I see people all the time coming to our events and they say, "Oh, I'm a Democrat. I voted for Katie Porter. I voted for Matt Mahan, whatever it may be." Even some say I voted for Tom Steyer because they see that I'm fighting a very similar working class focused campaign
Yeah,
about lifting up working people and small business.
great.
So I think that there's definitely an overlap there, and we need that, of course, because that's how you get to the 50% that we need to win.
And we've got to get the voter turnout in this midterm. As you know, midterms tend to be low voter turnout, and that tends to benefit the party that's in power. Uh, your message, I would think after Labor Day would be the message that one would need to motivate people to get out and vote. You agree?
Exactly. And you're right to say that there are actually millions of people in California who have a tendency to say, look, I vote in presidential elections, but I don't vote in the midterm. And what's the point? Now, that's what we've got to address, is to say, look, there are millions of you out there who desperately want change in California. Don't sit this one out. And I even say to Democrats and independents, look, you may not like President Trump. I get that. It's not about President Trump. It's about what we control and what we can do for ourselves here in California.
That's right.
And I think that simple point, which we put in an ad in the LA Times and the San Francisco Chronicle, can you be anti-Trump and still vote for me? And the answer is yes. And everyone understands that. And so I think that we're going to be working very hard to get that big Republican turnout. By the way, that's going to be really helped by voter ID being on the ballot for November, but also independents and Democrats. It's got to be, a movement for change, a real revolution in California, a working class revolution.
Your ad regarding Trump, I don't agree 100%. I agree 1,000% on what you stated there.
Well, thank you.
6 debate invitations have been sent to you and your opponent. You, Steve Hilton, have accepted all 6. All not that surprising. Your opponent has accepted the goose egg, 0.
But it's just embarrassing. I mean, I think that he believes that he can just kind of stumble through this primary without ever, really caring about winning, without even going through the motions of properly campaigning. And I think he's got another thing coming. I think we're not going to let him get away with that.
That's great. Steve Hilton, we've hit on all the key topics. I just want you to know, I think you already know this, we're here to help you get that word out, to get people to show up and vote in the midterms, because you've got a strong message, no matter what state one lives in. But it makes, but it's California, and it fits strongly. Obviously, I'm in San Diego. Steve, anything I haven't asked you that I should have that you'd like to add?
Well, everyone listening, everyone watching, you've got a role to play here, because if you're engaged in this election, that's great. If you're planning to vote, that's great. So that's one vote. I need you to go and get another one, at least one more.
That's right.
Every single person listening, find someone who's a Republican or would be open to voting Republican, who wasn't planning to vote because it's the midterms and who can be bothered and doesn't make any difference, and just get at least one extra vote. Everyone bring at least one extra person, then you double the vote right there.
That's right. Steve Hilton, good luck on the road there in San Francisco today. And we thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Talk soon. Thanks.
Talk soon. Back with more after this.